The night she lost everything, she was standing barefoot in a hallway that smelled like cold concrete and silence, staring at a locked door that held her entire world inside. The city lights flickered below her penthouse balcony, but up here on the 12th floor, the powerful CEO who commanded boardrooms and billion-dollar deals was just a woman with trembling hands, a dead phone, and no way back into her own apartment. Her name was known in business magazines, her face admired on conference screens, but in that moment, none of it mattered. The electronic lock had malfunctioned after a power surge, her assistant was unreachable, and the building manager had already left for the weekend. The hallway felt longer, darker, and far more unforgiving than any corporate battlefield she had ever conquered. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of humanity when it matters most, take a moment right now to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel Brightly Kindness. Your support keeps these stories alive. She hugged her white blazer tightly around her as the cool air from the stairwell crept in. Her heels were still on, but they felt useless, like the titles she carried: CEO, founder, visionary. Earlier that evening, she had returned from an intense shareholders' meeting, her mind filled with projections and expansion plans. She had ignored 3 missed calls from her younger sister, assuming she would call back later. She had brushed off the exhaustion, telling herself she would rest once the next merger was complete. But now, locked out and alone, the silence forced her to confront something she had avoided for years. Success had built her empire, but it had also built walls around her heart. The elevator dinged at the end of the corridor and she froze. Out stepped a tall man in a simple gray t-shirt and jeans, holding a little girl in purple star-printed pajamas. The child's blonde hair was braided neatly, her arms wrapped around her father's neck. They looked like they belonged to a different world, one of bedtime stories and warm kitchens, not stock markets and corporate storms. He noticed her immediately. She must have looked nothing like the confident executive she presented to the world. Her makeup had smudged slightly, her perfectly styled hair now messy from frustration. He didn't recognize her from magazine covers. To him, she was just a woman in distress. He lived in a modest apartment 2 doors down, working long hours as a freelance graphic designer while raising his 6-year-old daughter alone. His wife had passed away 3 years earlier after a sudden illness, leaving him to learn how to braid hair, pack lunches, and soothe nightmares. Life had not been gentle with him, but it had made him attentive to quiet suffering. He saw it in her eyes. The building security system was down. He had noticed it earlier when he came home. When she explained her situation, her keycard unresponsive, her phone battery dead, there was no hesitation in him. He offered to let her wait in his apartment until morning when management could fix the issue. She paused. She wasn't used to accepting help. In her world, vulnerability was a liability. But the hallway felt colder by the second. Inside his apartment, warmth greeted her. Soft yellow lamps lit a small but cozy living room. Toys were stacked neatly in one corner. Crayon drawings covered part of the fridge. The air smelled faintly of vanilla candles and freshly washed laundry. It was imperfect, real, alive. The little girl studied her curiously before shyly offering her a stuffed rabbit. That simple gesture pierced something deep within her. She hadn't held something so innocent in years. Her own childhood had been filled with struggle, growing up in a cramped home with a single mother who worked tirelessly. She had promised herself she would never feel powerless again. She had chased ambition with relentless discipline, determined to rise above poverty. And she had. But somewhere along the way, she had mistaken independence for isolation. The single father made her tea while balancing his daughter on his hip. He didn't ask what she did for a living. He didn't treat her as extraordinary or important. He simply treated her as human. That was new to her. As the night deepened, she found herself watching him read a bedtime story to his daughter. His voice was gentle, animated, patient. The little girl's laughter filled the apartment like music. The CEO who negotiated ruthless contracts